Jared's going to talk to you about a whole lot of things, why we grow, health benefits. It's very lengthy, but very good information. But it's going to take a while, so I'm going to grow stuff while he does that.
Why, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
All right, here we go. So there's a lot of ideas on what do you really get out of gardening. There's got to be something in it for me. I personally love this idea. There's a story that says we were actually made from the soil, all the microorganisms, that the best nutrition even today is maintained with life from the soil. So there's many reasons people grow food. I want to share with you a few that you may not have heard of before. In fact, 5 reasons, all backed up by some cutting-edge science. Here's number 1, stress relief and self-esteem. So there was this Dutch study. They asked these 2 groups to complete a stressful task, something like getting on a Zoom call or waiting on hold for customer service. And afterwards, one group gardened for 30 minutes, while the other group read maybe about gardening indoors. And not only did the gardening group report better mood than the reading group, they also had measurably low cortisol levels. So cortisol, that's the stress hormone, and we're told it may influence more than just mood. In fact, chemically, elevated cortisol in your body has been linked to everything from immune system issues, obesity, memory loss, learning problems, heart disease. So we better get gardening. Okay, here's another one though. Another benefit was found that gardeners have a higher self-esteem of themselves, and maybe it's because we're so impressed with our amazing tomato growing skills. That's what Annette's impressed by. All right, number 2. Heart health and stroke risk. So there was a large Stockholm study. It showed that regular gardening cuts stroke and heart attack risk by up to 30% for those over 60. And I'm sure some benefits for those a few years younger. So if you're trying to figure out, how do I make life a little easier, raised beds might help you along the way. And as you age, there's so many benefits to get the most out of gardening. And some studies show that if you really want to get the maximum, roll up your sleeves, maybe have some short sun. Without sunscreen for about 10 minutes a day, just go out in the sun. And that vitamin D, it reduces your risk of heart disease, osteoporosis, some say even various cancers. I mean, you could garden naked to get the ultimate benefits, but your neighbors might find that a little strange. Number 3 is brain health, Alzheimer's risk. Researchers found that gardening represents perhaps the single biggest risk reduction for dementia, reducing incidence by 36%. One long-term study had about 3,000 older adults, and for 16 years they tracked their incidence of dementia, assessing all these different lifestyle factors, and they found that daily gardening was the single biggest risk reduction of dementia, reducing it by 36%. Another study estimated the risk reduction, I think, at 47%. And some people ask, well, why does gardening make such a difference? And there's some thought that it's because it involves so many critical functions, strength and endurance and dexterity and learning and awareness. All these things, they synthesize for some really awesome benefits. Okay, number 4, immune system regulation. So this one's kind of the wild card because not only does vitamin D get into your blood by soaking in the rays of the sun and you fight off some colds and flus, but it turns out that even the dirt that gets under your fingernails and all in your skin is helping you because this friendly bacteria, which we're going to talk more about, this bacteria, the good guys, it's common in garden soil. And it's often absorbed and we inhale it, or we ingest it in some vegetables and things. And this can alleviate symptoms of like psoriasis, allergies, asthma, all these different things. If you have an out of whack immune system, get your hands in the soil and see what happens. And you probably heard about all the studies coming out about the microbiome, all that gut bacteria, and what a better place to get good bacteria than the soil. Particularly all the fungus and bacteria in the soil. It's been shown to alleviate depression. And so I just want to encourage you, get your hands dirty. Try not to wear gloves all the time. And, hey, maybe it'll save you some money on manicures, right, Annette? Because, hey, get your hands dirty, save some money. All right, here's the 5th one. Depression and mental health. This is a big one. A lot of gardeners will brag about this lift they get from a morning sweat in the midst of all their lettuce and radish. And, there's some science to this, that the horticultural therapy, I think is the name of it, where it's giving proven results to patients with depression and other mental illnesses. And the benefits appear to spring from this combination of physical activity, awareness of natural surroundings, probably a minimal amount of stress inputs, cognitive stimulation, and the best one, satisfaction in your work. All these things combined with the beautiful scents from your garden, and did I mention satisfaction from your work? There's perhaps nothing greater than putting a seed in the ground, watering it, letting the sun nourish it, and all these minerals. It's like magic right before us, and we got to be a part of that. You know, when we surround ourselves with growing plants, we get this nice view, this sensory experience that stirs this somehow regenerative process deep in our bodies and minds. And all this science I've shared with you, there's reports people can recover faster from sickness and injury and all these different things just by being in the scenes of nature. So if you're looking for any of those benefits, then I just want to encourage you, get out in the garden and do it often. I think there's a field of study called biophilia, where we're instinctively drawn to connect with other living, growing things. We want to be where the action is and not where it's dull and boring. And I hope you'll remember some of those things as you're pulling weeds and doing some of the hard stuff.
Sorry.